Okay, welcome to today's webinar, Plug and Pledge, how cross-channel payments can increase donations and drive impact. Before we get started, I just want to let you guys know that we are recording today's session, so no need to take notes as we go through, as we will be sending you the recording and the presentation deck to you over the next couple of days. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please use the question panel on the right-hand side of your screen, and we will get to them during the Q&A session at the end of today's session. Okay, so this slide is just to note that if you are making purchasing decisions, please do so based on products that are available today. Okay, so we have a really great lineup of speakers with us today. We have Saskia Barr, who is the head of private sector partnerships at the UN Refugee Agency, also known as UNHCR. Saskia is going to be sharing her story and telling us about how the UNHCR is building new fundraising models to reach their fundraising targets. We have Bas Visser, who is the founder and managing director of StepOrange. So Bas is going to tell us about their background and explain how their customer payment management solution, PaymentHub, actually works. And finally, we have Marcel Porteous, who is the regional director for the UK and Ireland at StepOrange. So Marcel is going to be showing us PaymentHub in action, and we have an interactive demo for you guys today. So I would definitely encourage you all to get involved. So if you have your mobiles ready, that would be great. Cool. So before I hand you over to our fantastic speakers today, I just want to give you a little introduction to Salesforceorg for those of you who may not be familiar with how we work. Salesforceorg is a non-profit social enterprise born from Salesforce.com. It was born to help non-profits and higher education institutions accelerate their impact. But how do we do this? So we do this in three ways. First is with our technology. We believe that everyone who wants to change the world should have the tools to do so. To date, there are over 32,000 nonprofits and education institutions using our technology, either for free or at a discounted rate via the Power of Us program. We believe that nonprofits should have the same access to cutting edge and innovative technology as some of the world's leading organizations. Secondly, is through our inspired community. Every member of the Salesforce community, from partners to employees, are making a huge impact in the nonprofit sector, with over 2 million hours of volunteer work logged to date. Next is through our strategic grants program. So when a nonprofit purchases our technology, any revenue that is made is actually reinvested back through our strategic grants, which are focused on education and workforce development. Over $168 million has been invested in our strategic grants program to date. Okay, so today we are focusing on the technology aspects. So I'd like to introduce you to the Connected Nonprofit vision. So a connected nonprofit organization has a 360-degree view of all its supporters in the one place, as you can see here. One of the biggest problems that is facing nonprofits is disconnected systems. Typically, there are many different systems in place for programs, fundraising, payments, marketing. Some organizations are even still using spreadsheets. Obviously, with unlinked systems, we get unfragmented data on your supporters, which prevents you as a nonprofit organization from understanding all the ways someone is investing in you. The Nonprofit Success Pack, as you can see here, is very much the foundation of the connected nonprofit. It gives you a 360 view of what you need to see of your supporters so that you can engage, retain, communicate, nurture, and fundraise more effectively. And on that note, I'm going to pass you over to Bas, who is going to talk you through how PaymentHub integrates with the connected nonprofit vision.
Thank you, Ollie. Thank you for this introduction. Good morning, everybody. My name is Bas Visser. I'm the founder and managing director of StepOrange. Our Salesforce native applications have been supporting fundraising organizations with their core donation processes since 2014 already. And when we started StepOrange, we noticed that marketing professionals had an almost full control, and if you can maybe move to the next slide, full control of, well, their content, their donors' brand experience, and their, donation communication journeys when it comes to email marketing, website, social media engagement. And this is all nicely tied up to organizations' missions, their goals, their projects. But when it comes to the actual donor experience when processing a donation payment, the kind of control is almost gone. So we asked ourselves the question, why can't donation payment journeys be as easy to set up and manage as Salesforce CRM? Yes, fantastic. Thanks, Ollie. If we can move to the next one also now, please. And this question of, getting control in your setup and, manage your donation payment journeys is actually more relevant today than it's ever been, especially if you're a fundraising organization, because we're seeing a growing gap between what payment capabilities organizations are typically offering their donors and the payment capabilities that we are, rapidly adopting as consumers and donors in the end. And this rapid adoption of paying for goods, services, and subscriptions is driven by a wide range of payment service providers, banks, new financial technology companies that all make a really big effort to, modernize the checkout experience and really make it frictionless in any part of the payment process. And if we then revert back to you as a fundraising organization, in the end of the day, if a donor wants to make a donation for a payment, you don't want to kind of force them into, paying for their donation in one or two typical payment methods that you have on the shelf. But you basically want to say to your donor, dear donor, thank you that you want to make a donation. You tell us how, because in the end, you want that experience to be personalized, frictionless, and as cost efficient as possible. And our Payment Hub solution, which you see here, empowers you to unlock all those traditional and more modern payment capabilities to your donors, and all embedded within your fundraising processes. Payment Hub is the world's first customer payment management platform, and it's built 100% native on Salesforce. And Payment Hub supports one-off and recurring payment processing for any currency, any payment method, and can be integrated into almost any bank or payment service provider or Facebook payments, any modern financial technology capability we see coming to market. And by bringing all that payment logic and also the data into the heart of your donor profile, we transform your payment data from a system of record in an external database to a system of engagement, all in the heart of Salesforce CRM. And the Payment Hub does not only come deeply integrated with the nonprofit success pack, but because it's built fully native on Salesforce, you can leverage it also with many other app exchange solutions, or you can tie it up nicely in your journeys that you're building in Pardot or the Salesforce Marketing Cloud. So with Payment Hub, you basically unlock the potential the current and the future payment market has to offer to your donors, all from within Salesforce. And when you run all your payment processes in real time through Salesforce CRM, you can leverage also all your CRM data. So your sales, your service, your marketing, your volunteering data within those processes, hereby making the payment journey more relevant and personalized. And when it comes to actual collecting the payments, so if it's via your online donation forms, your chatbots, mobile apps, face-to-face, whatever you have in place to actually collect payments, all those channels in the end only need to understand our payment API, and we just open up with whatever payment supplier you have contracted at the back end and integrated with Payment Hub. So once you've got this all in place, you've set up that variety of integrations with the bank, your variety of payment service provider, and you've set up all your core processes, you can then start to look at If we can move to the next slide, please. You can start to look at building actual new fundraising models, because we all know the traditional process of collecting payments online, your recurring payments via the bank or your payment service provider. But if we actually take that data and make it into a system of engagement within Salesforce, you can then start to leverage that data to build new fundraising models. And I'm really happy that UNHCR is going to share just a couple of the new models that they're currently building. But before handing it over to Saskia to inspire you with some of their stories, I'd like you all to take out your phone and go to the URL you see on your screen. So bit.ly/SF17UNHCR. And there we're going to ask you to fill in your details. And we are going to use these details to have you participate in the demo a little bit further in this webinar. So thank you. And I now would like to hand it over to Saskia.
Thank you, Bas, and good morning to everyone. As already quickly mentioned, my name is Saskia Bar, and I'm the head of private sector partnerships in the Netherlands. For those who don't know our organization, we're the UN Refugee Agency, and we're mandated to provide solutions and provide life-saving aid for refugees across the world. The job that I have in the Netherlands is to work with a small team to mobilize the private sector to raise funds for the work that we do outside of the Netherlands mostly, and to support refugees. So if we can go to the next slide. This is just an image of a young boy called Ashraf. He's one of the children that the work of UNHCR has supported. And Ashraf is a boy who was actually born in Syria. He was actually born in 2011 on the day that the conflict in Syria erupted, so nearly 7 years ago. And this is him depicted in an informal tented settlement in Lebanon, where he's lived with his family. After being born in Syria, he lived there for 2 years under dire circumstances of the war before the family decided to flee. And Ashraf is just one of the many boys and girls and families across the world who have been forced to flee their homes. There are currently more than 65 million people around the world who are forced to flee their homes. It's a record number. And despite the support that we've received from our traditional donors, who are mostly governments, UNHCR is seeing a really great need to engage more with the private sector and with private individuals to mobilize more income. There simply isn't enough funding available for us to do our work, which is one of the reasons that we are now reaching out more and more and starting to do fundraising. So that's what we've been aiming to do in the Netherlands. So zooming in a little bit more on how this relates to what we're doing with Salesforce and also with StepOrange. We have a vision to raise 1 billion from the private sector by 2025. And in the Netherlands, we've started working with Salesforce as our CRM system, and we're working with StepOrange to incorporate PaymentHub into this to make this as seamless as possible. Why are we doing this? Well, we know that it's cheaper to retain a donor than it is to acquire one. So it's important that that entire process goes as seamless as possible. We know that there's different channels, different payment methods, and different ways to communicate with our donors. And so ideally, because we're setting up from the beginning now, we want everything to be incorporated into one system. And we want to be able to react as quickly as we can to the needs of our supporters. Which brings us a little bit into the demo that we're going to be going through with you today. So if we look at the next picture, this is a picture of a Rohingya man who has just crossed the border from Myanmar, escaping the violence, into Bangladesh. You can see that he's actually carrying his children in a basket as he just crossed over into the border of Bangladesh. Being a refugee agency, it's extremely important for us to respond very quickly to emergencies. And as I already mentioned, when we sort of set up our operations in the Netherlands, we're working with Salesforce and we're working with PaymentHub to kind of lay the base. But we've also been talking about what else can we do, and what can we do, and how can we innovate to be able to respond more rapidly to emergencies like these when they happen. And so this is an actual ongoing emergency, and we want to talk you through the demo, which I'll pass over to Marcel now to explain sort of how we would envision doing this.
Thank you, Saskia. So good morning, everyone. This is Marcel Porteous. I'm going to be taking
you through a live demonstration of our solution. Just before I start, for those of you that wish to join in with the demonstration, the link is still at the bottom of the screen. You've got a few more seconds to go before we start doing that. As I just walk through this, I want to just quickly talk about how we are set up. So what I'm going to show you is Salesforce with a nonprofit success pack installed and PaymentHub by StepOrange also within. So I'm just going to flick over to Salesforce now. Just bear with me one second. Okay. Now, what we have on the screen here, on the left-hand side, that's my personal mobile phone. The picture of the little boy, this is my son. He is about the same age as the little boy in the photograph that Saskia showed earlier. And so the first time I heard that story was quite emotional, actually, because I could just imagine that happening to us, you know, as a family. So I think what I'm going to show you today is we have Salesforce set up in front of you. As you can see, those of you that are familiar with Salesforce will recognize the campaign's homepage. And what we've done is we have set up in advance a set of campaign members against an active campaign in Salesforce. And we've collected together all of the supporters that have an active direct debit or credit card authorization on file with us. Essentially, all of the people who have already given us permission to take money from their account in whatever form that takes. So the reason for doing this is so that we have a list of people we can contact immediately in the event of an emergency. And just to be clear, although we are showing you this as a demonstration today, you're not really giving us money, but this is an actual appeal. So following on from this, we'll share with you a link to actually donate to the UNHCR for real. So I'm just going to switch over to the Rohingya emergency appeal campaign. So as you can see, at this point now, I'm going to go ahead and send a text message to all of the people that have signed up for this appeal. So bear with me 1 second while I go ahead and send a text to you all. Now, hopefully I should be getting a text shortly too. Now, there we go. So for those of you that have received the text, in a second, hopefully my phone should ping with a message. We'll just wait for that to come through. And when you do so, I'm just going to flick back to the campaign in Salesforce. What's going to happen is the text message should come through to your phone. You'll be given a landing page, and I'm just going to quickly show you what that's going to look like over here on the right-hand side, on the left-hand side. So we're sending you a message with a link to a one-click sign-up page. We already know who you are because we've registered your details inside Salesforce. In theory, we also know if we're pretending that you're a regular donor, we already know how much you give on a monthly basis. So what we've done here is customize this screen so that we can give you some amounts that you are comfortable with. So if you have received the text from us already, then go ahead and select an amount, and the counter on the right-hand side will start updating automatically to show how much we've raised so far. Back on this screen, I can do one click to donate, and we will get a thank you page. So again, we know who you are, we know how much you give, and we already have your details on file, so we can quite quickly, and great, so some donations are already starting to come in. So we can quite quickly register this donation and take money from that account. Now, as you can see on the thank you page, we also have a share on Twitter link here. Now, in your demo app, that will just say that you've participated in an awesome demo by StepOrange today with UNHCR and Salesforce. But in real life, this would be a chance for your donors to share that they have donated, to share on social media. In this case, we've chosen Twitter. So I'm just going to quickly go ahead and show you one of our supporters in Salesforce. So this is Nicola. Nicola is a regular donor. She gives around £50 a month, and you can see that she's had a regular donation running through for quite some time now. And Nicola has shared on Twitter that she has donated to UNHCR. So I'm just going to go ahead and open up Nicola's profile on my screen. Okay, so here's Nicola's tweet. Now this time, and I'm just going to switch back to here so we can see that counter running in the background. This time, Nicola has shared an anonymous link, right? So we know that Nicola originated this tweet, but we don't know who's going to fill out the form. So this time round, I'm going to go ahead and click on the link. And now we don't know who you are because you're not in Salesforce yet. But again, we have the same sort of style form, but I'm going to have to fill in some details. And while I do so, I'm just going to pass you back to Baz to talk about this.
Yeah, so thanks, Marcel. So while Marcel is completing the screen, what we actually see happening here, we see Nicola actually moving from being a donor for UNHCR to becoming a fundraiser, because she is actually mobilizing her friends and family to also donate to this emergency appeal. And in this example, we're taking Stripe as the actual payment service provider that's completing the payment. But in some other countries, UNHCR has got WorldPay set up. But if you're working with Buckaroo or another payment service provider, that's just something we'll activate on the back end. But like I said, in this case, we're using Stripe. So imagine you have 200,000 active donors, and all of a sudden those 200,000 active donors become 200,000 active fundraisers. So here you've got the situation that can go viral and really start to mobilize your supporters to bring in new donors to this project in your organization. Yes, Marcel.
Thank you, Baz. So yeah, as you can see, I mean, it's a live demo, so thank you for being patient with me there, Baz, and filling in. Now that we've got the thank you page back from Salesforce, you can see, thank you, John, your donation will make a huge difference. And again, we can share on Twitter. And you can see on the right-hand side, you know, just in a matter of seconds, we've already raised nearly 2,000. So what happened there in the background was Salesforce and the Nonprofit Success Pack and PaymentHub are working together in the background to capture that contact in Salesforce. We are then creating the opportunity in Salesforce. We're linking John back to this emergency appeal to say that he has taken action and donated money. Now, if I switch back to Nicola, you know, we can start to see that Nicola has had an impact by donating and sharing. Nicola is now receiving soft credits for that. So I'm just going to quickly talk that through. Now, I'm just going to kick off the process manually. This is the process that normally happens overnight with Salesforce, but I'm just going to make it do its magic now while we're on the screen. So the soft crediting is a way of being able to recognize the influence that a person has had on donations within the system. And this is a standard nonprofit success pack feature. It just takes a little while to run. So if I now go back, and I'll just give that a few seconds. If I now go back to Nicola's page and refresh the screen, we should start to see, you know, Nicola's the impact that Nicola's had. Now, I'm going to pass you back. We'll just check on how our emergency appeal is going. I'm just going to pass you back to Ollie. No, I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm going to pass you back to Saskia to wrap up this section of the demo. Saskia.
Thank you, Marcel, and thank you for the demo as well. Yes, just to kind of wrap this up, this demo took a little under 10 minutes, and we know that every 3 seconds another person is forced to flee their homes, which means that in these 10 minutes that we're doing this demo, around 200 people were forced to flee their homes, and I think this really indicates the emergency and the importance that every second counts. And that's really why, you know, we've been working to think about more solutions and how we can streamline this a bit more. As Marcel already said, this isn't just
a demo. This is an actual emergency. So if you feel compelled to donate by hearing a little bit about the work that we've done today, you're more than welcome to do so. But I hope that it was an inspiring and an interesting session for you, at least from how we've been trying to implement this from within UNHCR. Over to you, Bas, to wrap things up a bit.
I think we're moving to Ollie now, right, Ollie?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Thanks, Saskia.
Yep.
Thanks for sharing your story today. It's been a really, really interesting one. And thanks, Bas and Marcel, for the demo and intro. Really interesting and great to have an interactive demo today as well. So, okay. So before I get into your questions, I just want to give you guys a quick introduction to Trailhead. It's a great resource that is perfect for anybody who's new to Salesforce. It's a fun way to learn, and it's a free resource, as I said. Anyone can learn, and we have specific trails and trail mixes, especially designed for nonprofits. So make sure you check them out at trailheads.com. Okay, so now time to take a look at some of your questions. We've had a couple in, which is great. So I think this one will be more for Bas and Marcel. First question was, is PaymentHub available in the App Exchange?
Yep, sorry, needed to go off mute. Yes, it is. However, the App Exchange has the possibility to put applications on a private listing. And for now, the PaymentHub is on a private listing, so we're still managing all the requests through our website. So if there's somebody that is interested, I would recommend going to our website and fill in the form, or use the email address that is going to be shared with you in the follow-up email that Salesforce.org is going to send to you.
Excellent. Okay, and in the demo, guys, was that integrated with Marketing Cloud at all, or was that just NPSP alone?
So what we did for the demo is we kept it pretty lean and just build a small piece of custom code that went into a text messaging gateway. But typically you want a bit of more dynamics in your messaging. So you would use Pardo or Marketing Cloud. For us, in the end, it doesn't really matter what marketing route or journey you want to leverage. The thing we will provide is the universal pay link to actually have the person go to the correct landing page, fill in the details, and have some hidden code in the URL so we know who it is.
Excellent. So that's a great answer, because that leads me on to the next question, which was, so you've mentioned a lot of digital channels there, Bas. Can you use PaymentHub to sign up people on the street or at events, or is it just and direct debits? Actually, was another question.
So yeah, if you looked at the campaign that Marcel had there, it showed people where we have a recurring authorization on the credit card, but it also said DD, which stands for direct debit. So in the UK, it would be the DDI. In the rest of Europe, SEPA mandate. So the process that you've just seen for the one-click donate, that can be taken from a direct debit or a credit card. And the signing up in the end, if it's with, signing up people from the street, that's almost everything there is standard Salesforce. We just add the payment element.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, so theoretically, this could be done through a Salesforce site or a web page. I mean, it is just a way of capturing data that uses our API to push that information into Salesforce. So yeah, it could be done on the street through an iPad or a phone or however.
Yeah, and maybe one add-on also on the direct debit. I don't know if you have more questions on the direct debit. Typically, we see nonprofit organizations, preferably for the direct debit part, working with their own bank. So they choose a payment service provider for their more they're online, so they're so for ideal credit card payments. And because you can mix multiple acquiring parties within PaymentHub, most of our customers choose, one or two payment service providers for the digital payments, and then have one, or we have some customers even with 30 different bank accounts connected to PaymentHub for the your standard direct debit and bank reconciliation.
Okay, good stuff. Next question we have here was, how long does it take to get something like this set up? So is there an implementation kind of timeline, or is it something that you can kind of get started on pretty quickly?
It's a really good question, but also a really difficult one, because I think the same goes. You can't give a one answer to how long does it take to implement Salesforce. We've seen customers where we did a full implementation in a single day, including training of 2 hours, but that's a typical small customer with a couple of standard flows. But if you're a large organization, there's a big migration of data from an old system, and you're going to build a lot of marketing and communication journeys around your payments. That of course typically takes more time. But from the technical part, PaymentHub, that's something. It's a couple of clicks and it's in place. The rest it's your standard Salesforce implementation, including some payment processes.
Yeah, I mean, just to follow up on that, thanks, Baz. What we showed you today was, standard Salesforce with NPSP installed and PaymentHub installed as the managed package. The customizations we did were things like sending the SMS, the counter on the campaign page, a workflow to send out an email. So there were a few things, but it was really kind of point and click configuration rather than actual development or coding. So from that perspective, from a vanilla Salesforce setup, this is quite quick. But like Baz says, it doesn't exist in a vacuum. There's always a load of stuff around it that you'd want to do, like branding and workflows and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, how long's a piece of string? Sorry.
Another question here related to the demo. Is Lightning requirement to use StepOrange and PaymentHub app?
No, you can use PaymentHub within a classic setup. But I think, if we now see even a lot of, early customers that were still in Classic slowly starting to move over to Lightning, because it has just so many more advantages. So I would definitely consider moving over from Classic to Lightning, to whoever, asked the question.
Okay, so we have another minute or two if you want to pop your questions into the panel, and we can hang on a second to answer them. So we've got a question here. What is the roadmap for PaymentHub? Sorry, guys, to put you on the spot, but some of the questions came in.
What's the roadmap? I didn't know we had so much time, Ollie. But yeah, there's so much that we're going to build, but maybe to oversimplify our roadmap, a lot of things that we're, in the short-term future are going to add is just a wider range of payment capabilities. So linking into, new fintechs that are bringing really, smart payment capabilities to fundraising organizations, and to share a bit more detailed. I'd rather take that one-on-one with the person who asked the question, but happy to do a bit more deep dive.
Okay, excellent. Okay, everybody, I'm going to wrap things up there. Any questions? There were some questions around pricing, which we will get back to you individually. But yeah, we're going to wrap things up there for today. Big thanks to our presenters, guys. Really appreciate you taking the time out today. It was a fantastic presentation. And thanks to everyone for joining today. I hope you found the webinar useful. As I said before, we'll be sending out the recording and the presentation deck used today over the next few days. And we'll also include some resources, so you'll have more information and know where to go for next steps. Okay, have a great day and hopefully see you soon on our next webinar. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.